Nigerian food inflation rate fell to 8.89% year-on-year in January 2026, the lowest level recorded in more than 14 years, according to the latest Consumer Price Index report released by the National Bureau of Statistics. Also, headline inflation eased marginally to 15.10% in January of 2026 from 15.15% in December of the same year, contrary to earlier predictions or projection climbed to 19% in January. The latest food inflation figure marks the first single-digit reading in 128 months and the lowest since August of 2011, when food inflation stood at 8.66%. Now, from June 2015, when the rate rose to 10.04%, food inflation remained in double digits for 128 consecutive months until December of 2025. Now, data from the Bureau showed that food inflation fell from 29.63% to 8.89% in January of 2026, a decline of about 20.73% over 1 year. Now, on a month-on-month basis, food inflation contracted by 6.02% in January, compared to 0.36% decline in December of 2025. Now, in the report, the Bureau stated that food inflation rate in January of 2026 was about 8.89%, and indeed 20.73% point lower compared to how it was in the year before now. Now, this on month-on-month base is indeed a major one as it concerns inflation and its reduction. But will this cheerful news mean more reduction in the months ahead, knowing that food inflation is always the main driver of inflation in the country, and what needs to be done for more stability and growth of the economy? Well, these and more will take the main focus of our discussion today on dialogue, and that is food inflation drop to a record 14 years low. Well, many will say it's a cheering news, but that's what we'll be having as a major discourse today on dialogue. We're talking about food inflation drop to a record of 14-year low. Well, the last time we had it was way back in 2006. Well, anyway, many will say it's a cheering one. But anyway, that's what we have as a major discourse today on dialogue. And to help us talk about this, we have no other person but an economist joining us all the way from Abuja. And we're talking of Mr. Ben K. Adams. He's of Ben ST Global Ventures. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir. Hello, can you hear me?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, nice to know you're there. And well, I just want us to go straight to it.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was opportune to also listen to what organized private sector said yesterday on account of these recent released statistics of a 14-year low when it comes to food inflation. And they had a lot to talk about yesterday. Yesterday, they said, as much as it's a cheering news, Nigerians should not be excited yet. That's what they said. And they also advised Nigerians that we need to do more, but based or hamp the reduction on two major issues. And they're talking about increased food production and also stability of the foreign reserve, or exchange rather. Now, my question is, should Nigerians really not be excited with this reduction? And is this recent reduction in food inflation really hamped on more stability in food production and also the exchange rate as they put forward? Or do you feel it's more than those two major factors?
Well, to start with, I really think Nigeria should be excited. Definitely, Nigeria should be excited. Nigerians should be excited.
Okay.
The last time we've had just a single digit on our food inflation figure was in 2011, actually. And what that speaks to is the fact that we are on the right way or on the right direction. Okay, so yes, the prices of staple food are now going lower. And like you mentioned, some of the major drivers are more agricultural production. And then you talk about the stability in the exchange rate. If we look at it, the only part where we will probably ask question is there truly more agricultural production So those are the areas where we might really ask questions, because we still have the issues of banditry, we still have the issues of insecurity, especially in most of the areas where production takes place. So for the fact that we are having a reduction in the inflation rate, I think it calls for celebration. However, we will really need to look deeper to understand if all the factors are in place. Let me also add the fact that I think from the side of CBN will be telling us that it's as a result also of the anchor borrower project that was started in previous administration, where funds were given to farmers to enable them to farm and bring their farm produce to the market. So basically, CBN will also tell you this as a result of their efforts in that direction. But we need to look deeper to be sure that in times of security, things are working well. Maybe on the other side, on the flip of the coin, you might want to purchase of staple food, but that as staple need of a common man, say maybe an ordinary citizen on the street. These are the things they need. So if you ask me, that might be the reason why some people will say it. Thank you.
Anyway, rightly put, because it looks as if you even took the word out of my mouth. I was almost asking you because, like you said, this will be the first time in 128 months we are having a single digit as it concerns our food inflation rate. Really interested in getting your view on it. Now, Nigerians are a bit confused, just like what you said. We talked about the issue of insecurity and how it had really affected the stability of food production in the country. So my question now is, do you feel it's more like importation of food? That's what is even bringing the price up? Because remember, like I said, the organized labor or organized private sector hampered the reduction on two critical sectors. Apart from the stability of food production, they also talked about our foreign exchange. Now, does that mean we were importing more few months, hence a need in the reduction in the price of food? Because if it's all about production of food, Nigerians will truly doubt that. Because of that, is it more importation that is driving the food price down? That's why we're having a reduction in food price.
Well, you see, the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics basically gave us this. That question, like I said, since there are no record to show for now, because we can only rely on what MBS have told us. Since there are no record to show if it was as a result of increase in importation or not, I will not want to say anything on that, because we have to be very careful, especially when it comes to that. You remember in the days of the former administration, that is late General Muhammadu Buhari, one of the things that they tried to do very much was to ensure that the borders are closed. And despite the fact that the borders are closed, especially to importation of food and other items, we still have a situation where people still smuggle these things into the country. We had it on record when custom will even follow some of these people to their stores in the market. All right. So, but there are no statistics pointing to that for now, and I don't think it will be right to start justifying that or not. But for now, what NBS have told us is the reason why there is a reduction in the rate of inflation of food is because there is more production, agricultural production in that dimension. So I want us to actually still stick to that, since there are no statistics to point us to otherwise.
Like what you said, there's no need speculating on the reason for it. But my next question would be, naturally, should we undermine the organized private sector? Said we should not be excited, but there's already excitement in the air. And my next question is, we now have a projection of 4.4% growth for the year. IMF told us, the World Bank told us that we're definitely going to have a growth rate increase of 4.4%, which is one of the highest in the world, and they are really excited about that. Now, would the food reduction or rather the food inflation reduction, would it have any major impact on our proposed growth production for the year? Do you see that happening? And is it going to be glory days ahead as it concerns the issue of food?
Okay, so from an economist part of it, let me paint it this way for a clearer understanding. What it actually speaks to is the fact that there is no more fire in the room, all right? But there is still heat in the room. The room is still hot. So that might definitely be the reason why the private sector, the organized private sector are saying it doesn't call for celebration yet, or we should be cautious in celebrating. But you see, if we could have this statistic coming out at this point in time, what I think is that we are actually making progress towards a cumulative inflation rate reduction. All right. If you look at it, we had also have a record, reduction in the cumulative, what's it called, inflation rate. I think December 2025, it was 15.15%. Currently, it is now, as at the end of January 2020, 15.10%. So there is a slow process towards a cumulative reduction in inflation rate. Enough. We had a very wonderful and dramatic change when it comes to